Hello.
Hi there, Sam.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. There's our agenda for today. Pretty typical. So first on the agenda are my remarks. And I want to give you updates on 3 different subjects. First of all, the West Tower transition, which is always on our minds. Then sustainability goals, and I'll talk about a meeting that the Residents Council had with Environment Committee. And then about the Integrated Art Committee, which I had the pleasure of being a member of, and I just want to share that with you just because it was so interesting and so much fun. So, about the West Tower transition. As you know, our big question is, how do we continue to have a functional community when the West Wing spaces are no longer going to be available? And so we formed a committee of the Residents Council, and the first purpose of that has been to ensure that there is adequate and appropriate input from residents working in collaboration with Horizon House managers about the plans to deal with those problems. So we met with Lori and with Brian Holtz, and Brian gave us a report on what he has been doing, and he has been meeting with all of the committee chairs. Go ahead.
Sorry.
All right. And members of committees and employees and the transition committee and the leadership team of Horizon House. So he's been getting all the appropriate input before making any planning decisions, which is what we had hoped that he would be doing. He's been working, he and other members of administration have really been working very diligently to ensure that we have the places to continue with all of our activities, with very, very few exceptions that I know of. So I keep getting asked these questions, and as of now, my understanding is that, yes, we will have a Monday market. And yes, we will have spaces for what are now in the activities rooms, spaces for making art and doing the woodworking and sewing and all of that. It is true that we will not have the C, D, or E level patios. As soon as the West Wing is torn down, those will go away. But the B1 patio will remain open until spring of 2007, and that will go away then too. But we are working to try and find other outdoor spaces. It won't be the same, it won't be as good, but we want to have some space for all of us to go and enjoy the outdoors, maybe do some gardening and sit and be communing with nature as best we can. So Brian and Eli Lemansky, they're both going to explain the plans for all of what's going to happen during this transmission on March 31st. I don't know the dates yet. I don't know what they're going to say, but I encourage every single person to attend that meeting and find out what's what. Now, the second purpose of the Transition Committee has to do with communication. We want to make sure that there is accurate and timely information provided to all of you about the plans, and then as we move along, what progress has been made. We are working collaboratively with the communications department to develop the specific plans for what we will do. We want that communication to be regular and established so that you know every week or every other week on this particular day, this particular time, you will hear about what is going on. We want it to be timely, we want it to be accurate, and have its own identity, not be part of the alert. This is in part to either confirm rumors that you've heard or tell you no, they're not true. Make sure that we're all on the same page and have the same understanding about what's going on. So, as I say, we met with the communications team. Amanda Rubel is working on what she calls a broad stroke plan. This is kind of an overall plan on how to communicate with us during the transition. And that's going to be reviewed by the transition committee this Thursday. We have a lot of ideas, and I'm sure this is not going to be the final plan, but we will be working through this with the communications department. Now let me talk about sustainability goals for just a minute. As I mentioned, Bill Roach and Nancy Najilski from the Environment Committee came and met with the Residents' Council at our planning meeting just a week ago. And they reminded us that the Board of Trustees has adopted sustainability as an official value for Horizon House. They define that as, quote, using our resources responsibly to ensure future well-being for all. Not just those of us who are alive today, but for those of us who will come after us. They asked us for our commitment and our leadership. And so we passed a motion, the Residents' Council did, that we subscribe to the value of sustainability articulated by the Board of Trustees. So there are a number of ways to implement that sustainability goal. One of those, and one that Nancy in particular brought to us, was about reducing the use of paper. We all know that there's a lot of paper going into our landfills. There's a lot of ink and other costs associated with printing on paper. So there are a number of ways that we can reduce our use of paper. We passed another motion, which is members of the council are to encourage all committee chairs that they explore the reduction of the use of paper in their committees and for communications. I don't think anybody expects us to totally give up paper, but there may be ways that each of our committees can reduce the use. And I will show you just a few of those that we've talked about. Whenever possible, we can use HH Connect to share information with all residents, or the electronic signs. And sometimes we can simply email to committee members and not have to send them anything using paper. If we do need to print, for example, if we are stuffing cubbies or printing the programs for our musical events, we may be able to use half-size sheets or print on both sides. And any of us can print, assuming that your printer allows it, print on one side of paper that is already used on the other side. And for example, our elevator signs, when they're taken out of the holders, the plastic holders, they're usually perfectly fine. They're not wrinkled or anything. And there is a large supply of those in the resident services office near where the photocopier is. So if you think you can use it, and this doesn't have to be just for official items, if you are printing something for your own use, just go in and get a handful of that and use it. So another way that we might implement the sustainability goal is to digitize our archives. In the computer room downstairs on the B2 level, there is a series of file cabinets that have the resident council archives, and other items too that have to do with the history of Horizon House. Nearly all of that is paper. And through the years, we're going to accumulate more and more and more of our history. So we might be able to keep a lot of that in digital form rather than on paper. As of yesterday, we have a digital archives subcommittee of the Residence Council. And the Residence Council does not know this. I'm just announcing it now. But a couple of members got on the ball and decided that they wanted to try and find a grant or a volunteer, somebody who can help us to figure out how to do that digital project. So I think they're holding their first meeting tomorrow, I think. So we're moving ahead with that. Who are those people? Well, it was Karen Perret and Carly, thank you, Carly Swift. And of course, Marion Miura is involved because she is the person who maintains the archives. And Carly, you want to say anybody else who's on it?
Well, right now for the kickoff meeting. Oh, sorry. For this kickoff meeting tomorrow, Lorraine McConaughey and, thank you, Deanna Nelson, Diane Tinker are also going to come, Ronnie, Karen, myself. One of the first questions, just to get the project started, is who are the key people that should be in the room? So don't feel disenfranchised at this point. Just this is an exploratory phase. So if somebody has knowledge of who really is a key person, you're welcome. There's no exclusion. And we're looking at a lot of different parameters. So we're going to just try and do a project scope. So we have some baseline of what the understanding of what the project is.
Thank you, Carly. And of course, another way to meet the goal of sustainability is to reuse and recycle. And in case you didn't notice it in the alert, we now have a way to reuse the wire coat hangers that we all tend to collect. You remember that came up last month, and I am so proud and pleased that when we all get together, we can find solutions to these problems. And thanks to Risa and to Bill Roach, they determined that Helena's Dry Cleaning will accept them. And so if you go into the package room and you look to the left, just to the left underneath the rod that holds the returned dry cleaning, there is a kind of a wire structure, very small, and you just kind of slip your wire hangers in there and they will take them away and use them again. Yes. Okay, then I want to mention the Integrated Art Committee, and as I say, this is just because this is one of the things I was involved in recently, and I'm very pleased with how that went. There are about a dozen members on this Integrated Art Committee, all of whom are either current residents or one at least is a future resident, is already signed on the dotted line for the West Tower. The West Tower. So everybody really had a vested interest in this. So most of them, of the members were on the art committee, and there were 4 retired or still working architects. I guess I was asked to be on the committee because of being president of the Residence Council, and I think Deanna's on it because of being past president of the Residence Council. Anyhow, not that I know anything about art, but let me explain about this integrated arts space. It's been part of Methune's plans for the West Tower for quite some time. It is very large. There's a kind of a 4-story covered outdoor corridor along the north side of the West Tower. It's in between the glass wall, which inside of which is the performing art room, or the general purpose room, the one like this but only bigger. It is the floor where the Monday market is and so on, but it's 4 stories high, 4 stories of glass. And then on the outside, on the outdoors side, are some columns. And that is right adjoining the terrace where the garden beds, the beds that the residents will maintain, as well as other garden outdoor areas. It's right in between those. If you go in the lobby and you look at the model, you can see exactly where that is. So as I say, it's quite large. And Methune had the idea of having some art there, somehow kind of in the whole corridor or on one edge or another edge. It wasn't defined specifically. But Horizon House hired a consultant or facilitator to identify artists capable of doing this sort of large-scale public art. And they whittled that list down to 5. And then the committee got to see pictures on the websites of each of those 5 artists. And we looked at them and talked about them and which ones we thought we liked, which ones we thought might be able to do a good job with our particular project. And we narrowed that down to 3 and decided to interview each of those 3. So they came in and again showed us pictures from their websites, but more than even that, showed us other projects that they had done. And these were all large-scale projects, like a bridge, or something on Climate Pledge Arena, or something at an airport. And these were not all in Seattle, although they were all Seattle artists. They were elsewhere in the United States as well. So we thought about, what do we really care about in deciding which artists to contract with? We wanted to like their previous work. We wanted to think it was good looking. We wanted to see how well whatever it was they had done before integrated with the space that they had to work with, and make sure that it really was suitable to that particular location. We wanted them to understand the particular challenges and opportunities that our art project has. And some of them had really done their homework on this. We wanted them to understand the special requirements that we have as seniors. I remember one artist on his website said, well, I like to challenge people, I like to throw them off balance. And no. And you know how much we like to participate in decisions. And we wanted to know from their past work how much they engaged the people who would be using this space in the decision-making, in arriving at a theme, or, you know, what do you really care about having in this art piece? And after we went through all of that, it became very clear that there was one artist or group of artists who really met our criteria better than others. So we had a nearly unanimous decision. And that's, I really like the group process. I really think that the best decisions come out of work of a group, meeting together, talking together, expressing their opinions, which may differ at first, and then finding out what the other people think and coming to a conclusion. Have no idea what this art is going to look like eventually, because we didn't choose them because, oh yeah, we love that particular piece and we want you to duplicate it here. That wasn't the goal of the selection. It was, do they understand our needs and are they willing to work with us on getting some kind of a project for us? So that's basically what I had to talk with you about today. And now I will turn it over to Erica.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. So I appreciate all the things that Ronnie shared today. I mean, really, just in a few months, you have such a grasp on all the things that are happening at Horizon House. So I don't have a lot to share because I don't want to do a lot of duplication. But I do want to talk about, just kind of to get a sense in the room of what people thought about Anderson's presentation to the community. Just, okay. All right, good. I thought it was very interesting. I will tell you, I've learned a lot as well. There were a lot of things that, again, in terms of how the building is being built, just having the visuals made a huge difference. So it was pretty interesting to see what that process looked like. I would say my biggest takeaway, the thing that I didn't understand, is that they would start to erect the structure, but also they would be finishing units as they went up, versus like, I thought they were going to build the whole building, then they would do the internal work. So again, it was just a real interesting process. And so just to let everybody know that it is still available to view on HH Connect under the Live tab and on HH YouTube. So if you want to see it again or share it with others to see how this building is going to be built, please feel free to watch it again. That was a wonderful bright spot for us. And as Ronnie mentioned, on Monday, March 31st at 3 p.m. right here in Anderson Hall, we'll have a live and live streaming on HHTV presentation about the spaces at Horizon House and what's going to happen. So just a reminder, set your calendars. We'd love for everybody to attend in person. If not, you'll be able to see it and it'll be recorded at 3 o'clock. And so just to give you a bit of update on the West Tower and to really share some information and some kind of action items that would really be helpful for us. Today we are at 77 reservation deposits. Well, as of, the 18th, so today. And, just to give you a sense, we had a wonderful opportunity to meet with a smaller group today in the private dining room. And my sense is people really, they're interested. It's such a big decision. If you can remember when you decided to come here. And it's one thing when you're coming to a known entity, you can see the unit type. It's just such a big decision when the building is not built yet. And for those of you who moved into the North Tower, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I really think, resident involvement is critical. It is critical. We did have a resident today at the meeting, and people were just hanging on her every word, especially about her why and the process she went through. That is not something that me or the sales team can convey because we've not made this type of decision. And so one of the things that I think will be super helpful for us when we are trying to determine, who's the best person to come and meet with these prospective residents who have this specific interest. Sometimes we know exactly who because we have relationships with you, we know your story. But you all are so interesting. There's so much more that we don't know. So I would just want to ask if you can go to your HH Connect, for anybody who's not looked at that HH Connect profile in a long time, if you've not really filled yours out in a completion, if you could, because that is really how we determine, we've got this prospective resident who, loves surfing. I don't know. And, we want to know who our surfers are, who used to surf or whatever. I mean, we just, we won't know if it's not in HH Connect. So if you can go, it is the settings for that. You can fill in your profile yourself. Please, any interesting information, where you went to school, your profession, any of those things, where you're from, just make sure that it's as filled out to completion as possible, because again, oftentimes that is the difference, just that human connection of meeting someone who is just like you or has the same interests will make the deal, it will make people feel connected. Go ahead.
I was also going to say maybe if you speak a different language, also list that on HH Connect, because that can also help us connect with folks that are coming in.
That is perfect. Thank you very much for adding that. So again, just one of the ways that you can continue supporting the community so that we're bringing in people who have, they're like-minded. The other thing, we've had 2 off-site events. Well, we have had one. We have one coming up. We had an event in Bellevue at the Bellevue Club that went, really went well. But again, I think for us, lessons is that we need to have more residents engaged and involved. So we do have an event later this month on Bainbridge Island. I'll be honest, there's not a lot of people signed up for that. I think when I checked on Friday, there were only 6 households signed up. So for those of you who have friends on Bainbridge, please share with them. It's a free lunch. They can just come and learn. Hopefully that they will be hooked when they hear different things. I know we are having some residents go on Bainbridge who have ties with Bainbridge Island, but please, share with your friends and ask them to come. Because again, if we leave that event and there's even one person who says, yeah, I think I'm interested, then I think we've done very well. Just to let everybody know, we do have a marketing plan in place. I'm not going to go through it here, but if anybody is interested in kind of learning a little bit about the process and, how we're marketing and how we're looking at things, please feel free. You can schedule with me. We can sit down and I can share that with you. But I just want to open it up because you are a part of that process. And then to let you know, we are in the process of interviewing and hiring for a sales coordinator and an events coordinator position for the sales team. We are getting a lot more leads through our new marketing relationship. And so, we just need more support in the sales office to help move things along. And then just to announce, I cannot believe how fast the months roll around here. As people say, time flies when you're having fun. I'm having an awful lot of fun because I can't believe that we're almost at the end of the month. And so the next fireside chat is on March 28th at 10 a.m. And that is really all I have today. Thank you. And next up is Sally Renn.
Would you take questions?
Yeah, I can take questions. Thank you, Ronnie. We have time for questions.
There is no such thing as a free lunch.
I will. Thank you, Gordon. You're right. There's nothing free. That's true. There's nothing free. You may not pay for it, but it's not free. You're right.
My question is, we are still plagued by elevators. That it took me about 7 minutes to get an elevator to come down from the 8th floor today. Are they doing anything to fix them?
I am sorry that you had to wait. That is not fun. We are, I will tell you the elevators are kind of the bane of our existence, but it is just constant. On the Fridays with the facilities, keep bringing up elevators. And I think, again, just continuing to think about ways in which we can continue to repair it. We're putting a lot of pressure on Otis. We'll continue to do so. But I will, to that point, I will go talk with Sean and team just to get a sense of what's happening right now. What are we going to do?
I mean, we just
Yes.
need somebody that knows how to fix them and come in and do it.
I appreciate that. I do. I just, all I can do is apologize about elevators.
Well, it gets worse instead of better.
Well, right, and they are fixing things. I mean, they are trying to fix them so that they don't go out. I think the biggest difference, they're always fixing things, but at the same time, they're down when they're fixing them so that they're not going down permanently. We do have a plan in place. And again, as soon as we can have a broader understanding of, which elevators will be doing the refurbish for first and figuring out a plan. I think a lot of it is the planning of shutting elevators down long term to replace the different parts. But I don't have an exact answer. I don't have an exact answer about the elevator issues today.
Okay, it's very discouraging.
I apologize. I do know. We're coming with a microphone.
Yeah, I wondered if you could expand a little on this Bainbridge Island event, because I have some friends that live there, and I wasn't clear on what you were suggesting.
So we are having an event. For our sales team. They're going to go and talk about Horizon House and share the upcoming opening of the West Tower. Really, it's an event to get people interested in moving here, whether they want to move into our existing campus or the West Tower.
Where is it going to take place? Is that nearby for people that live there?
It's on Bainbridge. It's on Bainbridge on the 27th. Let's see if I have my phone.
Is it near downtown, like? Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you very much. Wing Point Golf Club.
And are you going, if we give you a name, you would send them an invitation?
We
Is that-
absolutely will.
Yeah.
We absolutely will. I ask you to do it, but I don't have my dates and times up here, but Beth knows, and thank you so much for letting us know. So did everybody hear about the time and date? Or do you want to repeat it?
Thursday, March 27th on Bainbridge. It's a luncheon. I think it starts at 11:30. So I think we're saying if you have friends that live on Bainbridge, that might be a good fit for Horizon House. You want them to be your neighbor, contact who?
Don.
In sales and let him know, and they will reach out, send an invitation and reach out. Don Warfield, he works in sales. Or if you don't know Don and feel more comfortable setting it to Erica or Beth, that's perfectly fine, and we'll pass it along to sales.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, I am turning it over to Sally.
Well, sounds like a good sales opportunity. I am so pleased to be chair of the Diversity Committee. Why is that? Because we have such a wonderful committee. Would everyone just hold up your hand that's on the committee? And some that aren't here, of course. But I am proud of what we have done and where we're going. So I want to share with you, starting with our purpose. Our purpose, Diversity Awareness Committee, helps Horizon House residents to value our rich heritage from people of wide variety of ethnic, racial, religious backgrounds, and of different genders and sexual orientations. So with that, what do we do? The Diversity Committee presents a monthly program, and I'm going to list just a few that we have done this past year. The one we started was We Are Not Strangers, and that was a Seattle man who helped his Japanese neighbor save his property and took care of it while he was encamped in camps in Idaho during World War II. Another program that we don't often hear from came in from Eastern Washington, and it was Farmers Struggle in Eastern Washington. Another was the exciting news from African American writers reading poetry of Colleen J. McElroy. And then we had the Confluency Project. Maya Lin designed these memorable installations around the country showing the impacts of the Lewis and Clark exposition. And then we had, for humor, Comedy Night, 4 of Seattle's brightest and funniest comedian considering aging and the joys thereof. And recently we had the history of the Muslim community. And I'll just add here that the most important thing is tomorrow night, because that is our night, our Wednesday night, the third Wednesday night, and we will be presenting Dana Frank, best-selling author, Black entrepreneur, and philanthropist. And she has recently written a very successful book, which is called Get Up and Get On. And it will be a Black entrepreneur's lessons on creating legacy and wealth. So we're really looking forward to that and inviting you to be here tomorrow night at 7:30. And the other thing that we are so proud of is our dear Frank Jones, who many of us remember, started with a few people a few years ago after the death of George Floyd and said, what can we do? We may be old, but we can do something. And so they started the Black Lives Matter. But we've changed a bit because thanks to some of our members, again, who came up with the idea, let's have a new sign. Save our democracy. And another one, wage peace. So we invite anyone, it's a public sidewalk, and it's just anyone who wants to show up. We have a few extra signs and hope to be making more for that corner. And it's been the response. We had 14 people coming on the corners now, and the response has been fabulous. I mean, they're really excited about the wage piece and the Save Our Democracy. Oh, we're there from 12 to 1 o'clock at the corner of Seneca and 9th Avenue, so it's not a long walk from here. On Fridays. And then, next on Friday at 2 p.m., you can come in and watch our movies, which I've been presenting, I don't know how many years. But again, we try to have historical value, and currently we'll be playing the history of India. I'm sorry, the question?
Yes, I just wanted to add that one of the people just stands on the corner, that Black Lives Matter signs are still present.
Okay, she meant to mention Black Lives Matter signs still are available too. And we want to also just say that we welcome new ideas from anyone, and we welcome you to our committee. And I will stay a few extra minutes today out in the fireside room at a table if you have further questions. Thank you. And next we have I'm sorry, Nancy, of course, the pro. Not the pro.
No, I'm not talking about music. I'm going to be your dog and pony show, I'm quite sure, and give you some humor. We all, when they asked me to do this, I said, on Rummikub, I cannot believe it. I'm sure you've seen this before, maybe not. But we all need some downtime in our lives. I especially do, because I work hard around here, and I love to have some time just to sit down and have fun. We meet playing Rummikub every Saturday morning from 10 to noon for however long you want to be down there with all of us. We have up to about 14 people who come and go at different levels because there's lots of traveling going on. But anyway, you notice, oh, yes, that's the box. No, I know it. We do a large numbers because some of us don't see as well as we used to. Anyway, you'll notice on this, these are 4 people who are always there. You have Mary, Ellen, Pat, and of course me. I love playing this game. How many of you have ever played Gin Rummy? Come on, yeah, okay. This is playing Rummy but without cards in your hands. You don't have to worry about it. You've got tiles. And what we do is we dump all these tiles out of a box, and then we have to go and turn them over. Now, this is how you deal with it. You go and you choose 14 different ones out of that pile and put them on a little rack that you have. Now, this was my hand, and it was not all that great one. You notice that we have several colors there. They come in black, blue, green, and red instead of, all the crowns and all the other things that we used to have. Anyway, this was my hand. That's a little happy face, which is your joker. I'm sure you all know how that works. Anyway, we choose 14 tiles and we put them there. We don't have to hold them in our hands. You just stick them on those cute little racks that are in front of you. 4 colors. Numbers 1 through 13. You don't have Jack, Queen, and King and all that stuff. Jokers are the happy faces, and they can be used in the place of any of the other ones. So, to start playing the game, you have to have a meld of 30 points. So you've got to be able to count. This does help if you can count. And what we do is we kind of arrange them on the table so it's easiest for us to see what the heck we're doing. The ones that are the colors, like 2 in a row or ones, all of those, you've got to have 3 no matter what you do. Anyway, you've got several different colors, but the runs of numbers we stick in the middle. And then we do our runs of the colors around the edges so that we can keep them straight. If not, it gets confusing if you've got 2 different ways of doing that game and they're all in the middle of the table. So we try to make it as simple. We want better viewing. We try to keep it simple, and we play all around the table, and it's more fun. We add to those in the middle. We subtract from them. We pull and constantly move them around. We also have 3 other great players who are always there unless they're in Alaska or on a Caribbean cruise or whatever. We've got Harriet and Ron and Sally. I'm not chair of this group. Diane Loschke is, but she's got her hands full right now, and so they asked me to do this. Any of you who would like to come down and just play around or even sit and watch us, we'd love to have your company. And to add to it, we have wonderful music at the same time, because directly overhead are the ukuleles doing their rehearsals. So I welcome any of you to come and join us, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I will introduce Jennifer, and she's going to talk on the market. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Let's see. February was a fairly normal month, despite it being a cold one. We should be experiencing a more pleasant temperature in the market space from now on. Spring is on the way. This is a big impact on the clothing section of the market. Not only does the merchandise change, but the tasks of washing and ironing increase. Luckily, there are several volunteers willing to help iron. To acknowledge the change in the weather, next week, the men's department will feature Hawaiian shirts. Mike, did you wear your shirt? Oh, God, timid. Anyway, I did, so I'm modeling one of the Hawaiian shirts that we have. Yeah, isn't it? Anyway, come in and see all of the beautiful colors and really lovely. The total deposits for the 4 Mondays of February were $5,972. As usual, employee purchases averaged $300 a week. Several holidays a year fall on Mondays, which may result in fewer employees on campus and thus in the market. We try to recognize the various holidays with our offerings. There was a table with St. Patrick's Day related items, and next there will be various Easter items. This season can also mean that people are engaged in spring cleaning and want to get rid of winter clothes. It would be very helpful for us if you kept those donations until next fall. Our storage capacity is limited, and with the potential relocation of the market, space may become even more limited and challenging. Luckily, the supply of furniture has increased recently. There are some great pieces now in the market and in the annex, so come in and take a look and buy. Last month, I reminded everyone that the Monday market does not take books, nor does it take CDs. It also does not take DVDs, and I add to the list magazines. Again, I want to show you this bag, which was donated to the market maybe 2 months ago. And inside it had some smaller, like wallets, like this, about 4 or 5 of them. And so no one has yet claimed this. And as I said last time, there's something valuable inside. And so if it's yours, please let me know so that I can give you the goodies. Okay, that's it. I suppose Karen's next. Okay, Karen.
Hello. We have an amazing group of people here at Horizon House. I continue to be delighted to how all of you contribute to creating an interesting community. I am privileged to literally see the ins and outs of your efforts. There are 30 to 40 checks written each month by one of 2 volunteers to fund so many activities. And that I want to give credit to Cami Elbow and David Shoup, who very generously give their time. Behind each check, great effort has been made to make arrangements, fill out the blue slip, get a parking voucher for a guest speaker, etc., etc., etc. This effort includes the work of many committees, entire committees. The funds for each check come from the Monday market. I can go to the Monday market and spend $5 and then go upstairs and sign checks for hundreds of dollars. Now there's a big leap, and it takes a lot of people to make that happen. It is sobering. Many of you volunteer for the Monday market, and we are grateful. We can all help by donating quality items, bringing our friends to the market, volunteering, and buying. And I would recommend more than $5. I have chosen not to show you any numbers, but I will say that the market generated $11,600 through February 28th, and that's after sales tax. And we spent $14,000. I encourage you to enjoy our programming, continue to contribute to our programming, and to the success of the Monday market. and we can all do our part. And now I turn this over to Ruth Ann Ford.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ruth Ann Ford. I work in philanthropy alongside Charlene. She's in the back. I am the main staff contact person for the Enrichment Grant Program. And do we have any members of the Enrichment Grant Committee here? There's Marianne, Nancy McReynolds. We have a 5-person Enrichment Grant Committee. Nancy McReynolds, Marianne Counts, Susan Brash, Kathy Cullen, and Helen Jones. Enrichment grants are funded through Partners in Caring and support your passions here at Horizon House. $50,000 is available every year for projects. Last year, we had some really great projects, ballet bars and wellness, a Lego therapy program, and gospel performance, just to name a few. A very exciting enrichment grant is coming next week at the Fiber Art Showcase. An enrichment grant paid for the fiber artist to come present her work and paid for the closing reception. It's important to note that enrichment grants can fund experiences as well as tangible items. The enrichment grant deadline is coming up, just about a month away. It is April 21st. Do you have an idea or just a tiny idea? You can call me, email me, or stop by my office. This is the first step in determining if your project is a good fit for an enrichment grant. And we'll walk through your concept. I'll talk to you about who you need to talk to, what your budget should look like, what you should think about. And I'm really here to help you write your proposal. The application is short. It's only 2 pages and a budget. So thank you. So I'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Introduce Karen Pure.
Okay, Ruth Ann, I have a question before I talk. You said the deadline was coming up in April.
April 21st.
Thank you. Okay, and we had a meeting on February 11th. No, I'm sorry, February 18th. What month is this? That's right. That's right. Okay. And the minutes were circulated and corrected. Are there any further corrections? Then they shall be approved. I do have one question. When minutes are approved, there's a copy that goes to the library, a hard copy, and there's a copy that goes into Cammie's archives, another hard copy. And I would like to know, I'd like to see a show of hands of people who have consulted those, read the minutes in the library from time to time. Okay, thank you. Who am I introducing? Yeah, it went out of order. Okay, burning questions.
Well, it turns out. Oh, okay, John.
She did tell us?
Yeah, elevators. The perennial burning question. I know the elevators are just a pain. They turn into they turn into locals instead of express whenever one of them is out. My attitude about it is one of the reasons we like it here in Horizon House is it's just like home. And if your home was like mine, there was always something that needed to be repaired. I know it really is bad. And, Mark met with us at this, what's he calling it? Not mechanical, Friday, Facilities Fridays, and talked about the elevators. And, I know there wasn't a very good answer, but he did his best to explain what the problems were. And I noticed today, when I was on the freight elevator, that one of the buttons in there was missing. So I'm going to do my duty and no, it wasn't number 18, which is my floor. I'm going to make sure that I let Jay know about that, because you will remember that he told us if something is wrong to tell Jay, so it goes to facilities, so we don't have to deal with it forever, because they can't fix it if they don't know that there's a problem. Anyway, Ann Kelly told me that she didn't have any burning questions this month. The only reason she could think of is that we're doing such a good job of communicating all the time that nobody has any remaining questions. But anyway, she couldn't be here today, so I will be outside. And if you have a burning question for next month, you can let me know. But are there any other questions that you have before we adjourn? Yes, Ruth.
Yes, I enjoyed your presentation about the committee that's working on the art in that new area, but I expected at the end we would learn who the artist is.
I'm glad you asked me that. The truth is, one, I don't know if the contract has actually been signed yet, and two, I don't remember the name. And if you would like one more joke, which I forgot to say when I was talking about the hangers, we no longer have to be hung up on the issue of hangers. I stole that from Bill Jones. Anything else? I think I saw a hand raised. Yes.
Back to the art again. It's really exciting to hear about it. When will we know who this person is?
I'm not sure. I think it's just up to administration or Mithun or Anderson to announce it. I will talk with Erica about that, and maybe she can do it next week at the Fireside Lounge.
That's great. I think we're all curious to see if there might be any of this person's work that we could see or anything like that.
Sure, there is a web page, and you could look at that.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, there are a number of projects, but don't expect ours to look like any of those necessarily. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, it's a couple, man and wife, and one last name is Duggard. I can't remember the other one.
Do we know if the contract has been signed? Do you know that?
No, but I know they've been selected.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure that it's official until actually they've signed on the dotted line.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yes, my burning question concerns hand sanitizers.
I'm sorry.
Hand sanitizers.
Hand sanitizers.
Around the building, the different places where, keep your hand clean. I mean, it's very important just in general with all the different viruses, and particularly for our community. And I'm very frustrated because I know if I'm outside someplace and I'm touching who knows what, I go to the bistro. Sometimes in one of the restaurant you can work if you press a button, sometimes it doesn't. The bistro is almost always empty. A lot of them are empty if you look at those hands, and I don't understand why, and particularly in a facility like this, we're not keeping our hand sanitizer machines available various places, and when they are available, they're not full or don't work.
Thank you for that, and I will pass that along to somebody. I'll figure out who to pass it along to, probably facilities, housekeeping. Other questions? Mona?
This is a question that only relates to me. I'm sorry to take up time. But I left my vest in choir practice. Does anyone have it? Because it has my key in a pocket.
It's probably still up there. Other questions?
I
Yes,
just,
Ned?
elevator frustration. It seems to me that some courtesy by users of the elevator from time to time. Please finish your discussions off the elevator, not with one on and one off. Be ready to get on and off. The elevators have door close buttons when people are in. Close the door, because otherwise it waits up to 20 seconds before it closes. So especially when there are elevators down, being considerate of the people who are waiting by being ready and making sure the elevator proceeds as quickly as possible is useful. And so just keep those in mind, that people are waiting as you are getting on and off the elevators.
Thank you for that, Ned. Yes, Nancy. Kathy.
There we go. I just thought I'd ask, do you know if Comcast is finished changing all the boxes over?
You don't have it, Karen? They never came to your floor? Yes, Karen is saying that although Comcast came to her floor and installed the box, it's still not working. And for that, I would say let the front desk know that you're still not getting the channels you should be getting, HHTV in particular, because they're keeping track of that and letting, I think it's Brian Holtz, know about that.
Okay, good, because mine has a few little wrinkles that it's not doing right.
Yes, let the front desk know. Any problems that you're having with the TV, let the front desk know. I have not seen any list of all of the new channels. I know we're getting Root because I found that on my TV recently. So Anna is saying that the list of all of the channels is on the television. We have new remotes, and for those of us who are sort of remote challenged, it may be a little hard to figure out what to do. Maybe we should ask facilities to give us a lesson on how to use all of that. Okay, that's another thing to communicate. Yes, Ruth? I'm sorry. Hold on just a minute. Too many people are waving at me. Oh, yes. Go ahead.
Hello? Is this on?
Yes.
My observation is about elevators, specifically today, but also many times. I live on the 12th floor. Today, we stopped at 11, 10, 9, 8, and each new floor, there was no one there. And this has happened multiple times. So thinking about it, I'm guessing people who want to ride the elevator, if one's not there, they will press 2 or 3 buttons. So as a courtesy to other residents, just a suggestion, please, if you don't want to wait for 2 or 3 floors, don't press to request the elevator. Go to the one where, oh, it's nearby. I'll try that. And then wait for it, because if it's just stopping and nobody's there, and we even call out, going down. So just a subtle suggestion, but we could be, as residents, more courteous to other residents and press the button only one button. Thank you.
I hope everybody understood that. Those of us who are in the east and central towers, we have 5 different elevators, 2 of which are not working. So we have 3 elevators available right now. And sometimes we do press one and then say, oh, gee, maybe the other one's faster, and we run around and check on that one and press that one, and that's not a courteous thing to do. So I have waited, felt guilty about doing that, and I've just tried to stick with the first one that I ring. Karen?
Just so you know, some of us don't even have the box yet.
Oh, okay. Again, please let the front desk know if you do not have a Comcast box.
I have.
Also, at reception, I believe they have a list of the Comcast channels.
Oh, do they?
I believe so.
Okay.
We used to.
We'll all run over there as soon as this meeting's over. Ruth, did you have anything else you? That was what she wanted me to. Oh, okay, good. Nancy?
I was going to say that I've seen kids running up and down in the elevators and pushing buttons. And their parents or grandparents or great-grandparents should be telling them that's not okay.
This just won't be the same place if we ever solve all of our elevator problems. Is there anything else? Yes, back there.
Okay, Dan. Lynn, I'm Don Mayer, and Linnea and I'd be happy to help recruit people from Bainbridge Island. We were there 30 years, loved it. I was 10 years to the church and stayed on for 10 more. So, anyway, just
You would be
that'd be helpful, right?
You would be the perfect person to tell those people that moving to downtown Seattle is a good thing. And that
Yeah.
no,
right,
no
okay.
more ferry commutes.
Yeah, you bet.
So will you let Erica know
Okay.
about that? That would be
Fine.
that would be
Okay.
terrific.
Good deal.
Anything else? Yes.
A PSA, if you ordered a book from the bookmobile and you haven't picked them up, please do so this afternoon. They're on the back table by the windows in our library.
Thanks. Anything else? Boy, considering that there were no burning questions this month, we sure had a lot of other questions. Well, this is great. Thank you. I want to remind you all that some of us will be available in the Fireside Lounge as soon as we adjourn. Ann Kelly is not here, so ask me any burning questions you have. Bill Coriston is here, I believe. Dining Services, Doris Ray. Environment, Bill Roach. Resident Safety, Mike Gould, and me. Thank you all for coming, and we are adjourned.
I can give everything to